all learn from each other. We will record the session, so we'll stop the recording when we do the chat at the end. But I'm going to hand over to Gavin now, and look forward to seeing how this unfolds. Yeah.
Yep, thanks Fraser. It's a pleasure to host you all guys this afternoon. It's a fantastic turnout once again. This is the third webinar we've done in the last 2-3 months, and we're really grateful for everyone's attention and support in joining us today. We've got a fantastic lineup. We're first of all going to hear from the founder of Fuel Change, Jennifer Tempany. I've had the pleasure to work alongside Jen for the last 2 years, and it's been a fantastic journey. And we're also joined with a special guest speaker today, Reid, who works with Shine Enterprise. He also worked with us at Fuel Change for a short term, and he also represents Next Generation. So looking forward to hearing what Aaron's got to say. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Jen.
Okay. Thank you very much, Gavin. Hopefully, just when all the technology goes all wrong, can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so you've heard from me and Gavin, and you're going to hear, and Fraser, and you're going to hear from Aaron in a wee bit. But we wanted to, I suppose, welcome to our third session. At Fuel Change, we wanted to host some discussions and have the opportunity to have a bit of chat, to join some dots. Because we've been working as Fuel Change for the last 2 and a bit years now, and we've learned some things. We've also made some mistakes. We were maybe a wee bit naive about 1 or 2 things in the beginning. But what we wanted to do today is just talk to you specifically about engaging, attracting and retaining next generation within your workplaces. But you might have some different views or experiences, but that's great because we want to hear them. We want you to share those with us this afternoon. So as a kind of caveat, we're not deep technical experts in, well, really anything, but we have been part of this journey for a wee while now. So we have been working with young people and next generation, and by that we mean people that are aged 16 to 25. And we work with the next generation specifically because we believe that they are going to be the people that will drive change up and through businesses and into the future. But that doesn't mean that it's solely about the next generation, because it's absolutely about the current generation too. So people like myself and maybe a few of you on this call that are able to mentor, support, help and coach them. So over the next wee while, I'm going to talk to you about what we've found out in Fuel Change. And then I'm going to actually bring in Aaron, who is going to give us some his insights and expertise in attraction, and then maybe share a little bit more about engaging and retaining workforce. And then actually after that, we're going to open up to Fraser, and he's going to help us have a chat and a dialogue. So I hope that's okay with you guys. Okay, so who is Fuel Change and what do we do? And actually, why are we talking about this? Well, over the last 2 and a bit years, Fuel Change has worked with over 135 companies, but that's actually with about 2,000 participants now. And we use our unique challenge program to engage the next generation. And what we do is we take industry challenges, decarbonisation challenges, and we support teams of individuals that have come together to work through those challenges. And while they're working through those challenges, and I should also say, sorry, that we do that over a period of 16 weeks. So it's not something that's hard hitting and fast, but actually, and this is where, this was luck rather than judgment. We actually, in the beginning, started out just doing a little and often. And one of the great things about doing a little and often is that actually it helps change behaviours. So what we're trying to do is get the next generation to solve problems for themselves. And we facilitate that, and we do it in I suppose, with a lens of sustainability over the top. And that allows them to develop skills that they can then use to drive change within their workplace or to make perhaps their workplace more sustainable. But actually, it's about creating opportunity for them. So, and also for businesses. So that's a bit about us. We've been working across the UK. And the other thing that's interesting is that we work with next generation in schools. So we've got a schools programme that's going on, and our national challenges are actually being utilised there at the moment. And we also have got a challenge at the moment running in south of Scotland, and those challenges are specific to that area. And we're about to launch a national challenge in February. So we have a workplace element to what we do. So I suppose that's the next generation, but we're also working with the next generation as they're coming through their education. So this is basically about attracting, engaging and retaining. And what I want to do is I want to hand over to Aaron. So Aaron has, as I said, he worked with us in Change as an intern, and he's gone on now to actually follow his passion, which is into recruitment and sales. And actually, Aaron's got some really interesting insights into how to attract his generation into the workplace. And he shared those with us, and they formed some of the stuff that we're doing. But actually, I wanted to bring him on here today so then you could hear from him, and maybe that will help you organisation. So I'm going to stop sharing now and bring Aaron in.
Thank you very much, Jen. Just let me share my screen just now. Can you all see that? Yeah. Is that I can see you. Is that Jen? Can you see that? Yeah, definitely. Cool. So looking at again attracting Generation Z, so I thought it'd be interesting, given that I am Gen Z, so you could kind of see it from the lens of me, and kind of see how that works. So again, the key points we're going to be looking over is number one, money isn't everything. Number two, redefining your culture, and number three, culture communication is key. So in 2030, Gen Z will make up 60% of the global workforce. Right now, hiring before Gen Z, salary was the main motivator. Turnover was relatively low, but the market was employer-led. However, now that Gen Z has entered the scene, it's now candidate-led. And Gen Z are getting to call the shots more, and we need to try and adapt to that and find out how can we attract them. And also 83% say culture is pivotal. So what I've done is I've got two case studies. One is from Rolls-Royce, one is from a marketing agency called May Brave. So I was at an expo, recruitment expo, about a month ago, and the guy from Rolls-Royce said, employee experience starts from birth. And I thought, wow, that's interesting. How does that work? So what Rolls-Royce do is they say that the candidate journey doesn't just start at the interview stage. It starts from when people are at nursery, when they're at school, when they're at high school. So what Rolls-Royce did was they launched different school programs to help young people actually become engineers from that age and condition them throughout that whole time to not just see Rolls-Royce for the cars, but for what they do and inspire them. And this has led them to hiring so many people through that pipeline. So I thought that was really interesting. And also the stuff they go over, because a lot of people when they're young, they say, I want to be a professional footballer, I want to be a rocket scientist. They have all these dreams. However, Rolls-Royce says, well, okay, if you want to be that, we're going to teach you that in a fun and friendly way. Looking at May Braves, this is a different kind of scenario. So this links back to retention and attraction. So I like to say, May Braves say, be literal with your values. So everyone probably thinks maybe 10 years ago, values were something you had on your website and you maybe mentioned it in HR meetings, and it was something that we all strive to just tick the boxes on. But May Brave said, do you know what? That's not a box, that is our company and that's who we are. So what May Brave do is that they create events around their values. They express them with art, music, and they embrace all these patterns. And they actually hire people who really match their values. And I find it really interesting because May Brave typically are someone that maybe aren't, from an entry level point, they aren't always giving candidates the most money in the world. However, they're always stacked full with CVs, not because of the money, but because of the culture. And what we do at Shine, and again, I'm head of sales at Shine, and what we do is our tool kind of helps the onboarding process. So when you are taking in lots of candidates and you're looking to understand their skill fit, but it's hard to understand their culture fit and skill, we provide video recruitment software. So you can cut your screening time by 50%, improve time to hire by 25%, and engage with candidates with flair with video and showcase your values and showcase that. So here's my QR code here. If anyone wants to connect with me on LinkedIn, I'd be happy as well to answer any questions you have around attraction and retention.
Thank you, Aaron. That was great, because actually it was really clear, and it's all about how to come forward and present yourself. And I want to talk to you a little bit more in the questions about actually the video aspect of recruiting, because I think that is something that that other people might want to hear a bit more about too. But what I'm going to do is I want to talk a little bit, before we move on to the questions, I want to talk a little bit more about our experiences of engaging. And we found this out through the Fuel Change Challenge programme. So, sorry, I'm having a real problem with my slides here. Let me see, is that better? There we go. So it's stuck in you, Aaron. It doesn't want to move. There we are. And the reason I want to talk about engagement is that the challenge program that we've been using absolutely engages the workforce. So it allows them to have something to coalesce around. So if you manage to attract people that you want into your business, we think that it's not enough just to get them there. How do you actually keep them there? And the challenge program that we've been working through, as I said, for a period of 16 weeks, allows you to do that. It allows you to create an opportunity for people to come together and solve a problem. And that's really important, because it actually allows team building, and it allows people to build skills with other people. Now, those teams don't need to be physical. A lot of the stuff that we have done in our experiences have actually been from teams coming together that are, you know, remote and working in different areas or indeed different countries, but because they've got something to coalesce around, then they've got shared, they basically are able to engage with each other. The other thing about having something practical to do is, if you set it out in the right way, then it creates an opportunity to innovate and to problem solve. And then if you solve something together, then you've got a connection. One of the things that's also really interesting, and I think Aaron might come on to this in a bit, is that social value and sustainability is really important for Gen Z. And actually, what we found is that for a lot of young people within the workforce, initially when they come into the workplace, they're not that interested in sustainability. Some are engaged, some are aware, and some are particularly active. Many of them are in that area of, it's not for me, and and that's somebody else's issue or somebody else's problem. But when you create a framework for them to be able to get into and activate themselves around and transform a business, then they can see where it fits, and they can see how there's actually opportunity there, and not opportunity for the business, although that is something, but it's also opportunity for them, and it's opportunity for them to promote themselves. And actually, that's what we found. We've found that the next generation are looking for ways to interact, but initially their first thing is, what's in it for me? And what's wrong with that? So another thing I wanted to talk to you a wee bit about was, we hear a lot of people talking about green skills, and we need green skills because we need to get into green jobs of the future. And actually, what we found, especially with the work within schools that we're doing, is that the term green itself can be really isolating. It's a bit of a turn-off, because actually green is associated perhaps with activism rather than actually action and getting on with general life. So there's a lot of times where if something is labelled green, there's a stigma around it, or indeed there's perhaps connotations of either working on a wind farm, or that's got nothing to do with me. But in actual fact, green jobs, real green jobs, will be every job in the future, because every job in the future will need to have some element of sustainability. So actually pulling that out and categorizing it as something isn't particularly helpful. And we've had a bit of feedback from people that maybe don't share that view, which is totally fine. And they'll say, well, one of the best interview questions is, or we get asked it all the time, is what's your sustainability plan? And my response to that would be, I bet you, if you go and Google just now, top 10 questions to ask at your first interview, one of them will be, what's your sustainability plan? So it's an opener. It's not something perhaps that people are engaged in. But if you work with them then and you give them the experiences that they can see what it means for them, then they do become absolutely engaged. The other thing I wanted to touch on is war on talent. So that's been probably one of the phrases of 2022 and has been something that all businesses have been struggling with, and we hear that a lot. How do we retain our workforce? Well, another way to do that is to give them the opportunities that they want. So create the environment that they can actually have a positive impact, that they are able to learn new skills, they are able to demonstrate them to people within the organization, that they, I suppose, can, if they're going to be solving a problem, yes, in Fuel Change Challenge, perhaps that's not a problem that's associated with their business, and there's opportunities there. But there's also the opportunity for people that are senior in the organization to have a look at what they're doing and help pull some of that hidden genius and untapped talent through. Because actually, once they're engaged and they're retained, then they can start working with you on your sustainability plan, or in actual fact, on your business problems. So this is Andrew. I want to talk to you just a little second about Andrew Wilson. Andrew Wilson works for Petroneos. He is an electrical technician. He joined Fuel Change Challenge maybe about 2 years ago. And I met Andrew just as we were doing some sort of PR for the event. He arrived in his boiler suit and his hard hat, and he came over and he was like, by the way, why am I here? Because do you not know, I work for an oil and gas company. Are you trying to put me out of a job? And I was really kind of taken aback by that. But I thought, well, actually, what's in it for you? We had a conversation about it. And Andrew worked his way through the challenge programme. And actually, that picture is of Andrew on the stage at Fuel Change Live. We had an event last month with over 200 people at it. And Andrew was one of 2 compares there. So he has taken his experiences and he's used them to actually progress in his career. And partway through that, he's actually realised, do you know what? Sustainability is good for me. It does have an impact and I can use it to help the company, but I can also use it to help myself. So one last thing about retention is it goes a bit back to what Aaron was saying about actually getting recognition. And what I would say to you is look at your next generation that are in your workforce. What are the opportunities to be able to give them the platform to gain some recognition and to show their talent? Vicky and Ryan were in our first ever group of first ever cohort in Fuel Change Challenge. And actually they have gone on and they won the Net Zero Apprentice of the Year from SDS last year. And that experience, but also winning an award, has actually given them a significant platform. They're now, as you can see, the poster people of GE Caledonian, and that means something to them and it means something to their organization. So those have been our experiences thus far. Definitely get in there with your next generation, give them some opportunity, give them a problem to solve together. They'll develop skills, they'll develop meta skills, and those are the skills that you need in your business just now, but you also need those skills for going forward. So that's our experience, but I think you've probably heard enough from me. I want to hand back, I'm going to stop sharing just now. I want to hand over to Fraser so then he can invite other people to join the conversation. Are you there, Fraser?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Excellent. My Wi-Fi just went down there for some reason, so that doesn't happen very often. So yeah, fantastic presentation, Jen and Aaron. Thank you very much for sharing. Absolutely brilliant. And I think, you know, the simplicity of what you're saying there, you know, we need to be coming at this from a completely different direction. So I'd like to open the floor to questions. We'll put questions in the chat, and we can also put your mics on, put your hand up if you've got a question. And Aaron, your hand's up there.
Yes, I was just going to.
Do you have a question?
Yeah, I was actually just going to add something.
I'm actually not able to hear you here. For some reason, my microphone's not working.
Oh, can you hear me? Yep, cool. I was just going to add to what Jem was saying in terms of retention, attraction. So a lot of the stuff that I've seen at Fuel Change is actually what's called social marketing, where essentially what they're looking to do is, rather than just trying to go through the middle and sell sustainability, it's actually looking at people's social currencies and thinking, well, how can we leverage this social currency, give them a great experience, and lead them through a green path of doing that? So they're still getting the bit that's in it for them at the end, but they're still going through that green path. So they're still engaging with sustainability. So I thought, kind of, in my time with Fuel Change, I thought it was really, really smart and intelligent, because a lot of companies just try to communicate sustainability, but they're actually saying, well, no, we're not just going to do that. We're going to run it in a different way. And it's obviously been very effective from what we've seen with the apprentices.
Thanks, Aaron. That's really insightful. Thanks for sharing that. I was just going to pick up on a couple of the comments in the chat. Laura, you had made some thoughts around green jobs and skills. Could you say a few words about what you're seeing? No, they come off mute. Check something. Wow, we've got a huge number of people here. I'm just looking through the list.
Yeah, I've got my microphone speakers back as well, Gavin.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I think Laura's mic's not picking us up just now, so I'm just going to move on. Stuart, you had some thoughts as well. Do you want to come in just now, Stuart Monroe?
Hi, Gavin. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I work in a local authority, North Ayrshire Council, and we work in economic development. Now, the vision that we have, or sort of the lens that we look at the world from, is we've met with Gavin talking about how we're supporting, as a local authority, supporting SMEs and large corporates to transition through into net zero. And the balance that many small businesses have got to balance together is their operating cost of running their business with the time and effort they can release to allow new people to come into their organization and bring in these new ideas. So we've established a Green Jobs Fund, which enables us to provide that funding into SMEs, where they can adopt and change some of their business processes. And part of the partnership working that we're doing is now linking up with Ayrshire College, with Strathclyde University and other universities to sort of bridge that gap between sort of academic knowledge and practical reality of what businesses are actually facing in the real world. And I think, Aaron, what you just demonstrated could be really interesting. I'd maybe follow up with a call with you. But also, there's real opportunities here as, again, from a local authority, we're trying to attract inward investment, as will all local authorities, as we're sort of moving into this new world. And there are amazing companies with products and services that just don't exist right now, where we're actually having to work with universities and colleges to say, you need to create a brand new course that you've never had to do before in order to then capture all these new young people. And we're hoping to start something quite significant in 2023 with the Developing Young Workforce programme. And maybe that's another sort of collaboration with Fuel Change. You maybe do that already. I don't know, Gavin.
Yeah. No, yeah, thanks. Jen, did you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I think it goes to a little bit about what Laura was saying about green jobs and green skills, and actually I agree with her. It's probably should just be called future jobs and actually current skills, so one of the things that I think's interesting about trying to engage